Hey guys, I'm Mohit. Today I'm going to talk about AI governance fundamentals. This is the first of the series on AI governance and things that are affecting successful deployment of AI agents in production environment. Before going through this particular episode, I will also uh, uh, want to talk about the things that happened last week, mostly the release of Claude Mythos here. As you already know that there were significant um risk that was exposed by Anthropic by means of Mythos preview. Here, this particular AI Security Institute did some testing, and it also concurs with Anthropic's view that Mythos preview can exploit system with weak security posture, and it is likely that more models with these capabilities will be developed. Things are getting slightly um, riskier if you are somebody or who is on the customer facing maybe a web application or maybe a open source library. So you need to kind of work through your security posturing and harden your code base, environment, endpoint, and everything which may have any kind of vulnerabilities because it seems that the bad actors using these capabilities of these models will be able to kind of do some harm to real world systems. Going back to our agenda, so I'm not right now discussing about info security mm, in as a defensive or offensive mechanism, but this is more around AI agents and how we can deploy them responsibly uh, within the enterprise, right? Let's go through this. Yeah, for this particular episode, I have taken an example of an AI agent who is responsible for approving or rejecting a loan application. As we are trying to create an autonomous organization, so again, this is an hypothetical scenario where the AI agent can autonomously approve or reject loan. It needs access to certain information, and that information flows through the agent by means of certain APIs, tool calls. So maybe there is an API that it can use to pull credit scores. It can query the bank's customer database. It also has access to another model uh, that can be a traditional ML model, or it can also be another GenAI model that is trained to run certain kind of a risk on the application. Then you also have a fraud detection service. It can be, say, another system which can employ, say, a graph database like Neo4j and outputs certain score based on whether the particular loan application is safe to continue or not. And the final can be that there is a certain threshold, say in our case, let's say the threshold is 50K US dollars, and it can autonomously any loan which is below that threshold. So what we are seeing that in this particular scenario, uh, this agent is autonomous and it has access to tools, and there is no human in the loop. So when this autonomous agent is deployed in the production environment, so there can be certain uncomfortable questions, which can be what happens when the agent denies the loan unfairly, who is liable, which tool should it be allowed to call without asking, how do we know it isn't quietly discriminating, can we explain its reasoning to a regulator next week, or what happens when there is there is some production outage during 2 a.m. It can be either the infrastructure on which the agent is running. It may be that any of the APIs or the tools that we listed here are down, and what happens then? So this is how this looks like. This is just a simple flow diagram for this particular underwriting agent. I guess I've already repeated how the information flows through this. So we will slightly structure this and define what exactly is AI governance. So AI governance is nothing but the set of rules, processes, and the people that describe how an AI agent gets built, what it's allowed to do once it's running, and who answers for it when it does something wrong. Uh, so, so, as I mentioned, that these are nothing. These are the the AI governance is not just limited to rules, but it also includes the people. Though we have already mentioned that there is no human in the loop, but what if something goes wrong? We are not right now discussing about the self-healing kind of system or self-healing agents, but what we are but how we are including the people is, say something goes wrong, and there should be some people in the organization who are answerable to those, or can, or the people who can take corrective actions on behalf of the agent in case agent is not working as expected. The people may also include, I guess I'll be discussing more about the people later on. But for now, assume that or understand that these are not just the rules, process, but it also includes the people. And this AI governance is not just related to rules or the policies that are set forth within the company, but it also includes the law of the land on which the company operates. So something like EU AI Act that may have its different statutes, GDPR, Canada's AIDA. So all those laws and regulation needs to be followed when we are deploying autonomous systems or the AI systems within our organization. And again, in case the company's transactions are across the borders, so there are certain other rules and regulations or the processes that the AI agent or the system or the company who is handling these AI system need to enforce. So governance is just one leg of a tripod called GRC. G for governance, R for risk, and C for compliance. Again, I talked already about the governance. So as I mentioned that these are autonomous agents, and these are again uh, the system which can talk to certain other APIs, and always with the technology there can be possibilities of certain kind of an outage, something is down, something is not working. So listing out all those things what may go wrong is the first step towards mitigation of those risks. So for instance, in our loan agent case, it's also about bias in the lending decision, prompt injection, draining the accounts. It can be possible that there are silent drift once the model gets updated, and your initial calculation that outputs the possibility of loan approval or rejection suddenly changes. And the third one, the C leg, is nothing but the compliance. As I already talked about, there are certain statutes, there are certain laws of the lands and the regulator within the country or across the borders. So they are also, as a company, you are also answerable to those. And for that you need to follow certain guidelines, certain rule. There may be certain assessment that you need to fill periodically and report to your regulator. So all these three, governance, risk, compliance, these are part of overall AI governance posturing. Next, I will also talk a little bit about risk in this one. For instance, the data on which the model is trained may also have certain biases that can be biases for the gender, biases for low income group. Obviously, the financial uh, things have some biases when it comes to income groups, but there may be some other patterns which have inherent bias, uh, and that was not taken care while we were cleansing the data for data modeling. Next, it may be possible that the agent is allowed to query the customer database, but it cleverly changed the prompt, and it is able to say pull the data for a person for which it was not meant to be. Maybe you are applying loan for person X and you are also pulling the data for person Y. It may also possible that our observability is not quite in place. Not just the observability, but the logging, and you are not able to explain the trajectory of your AI agent, different steps, or the reasoning it took to arrive at final conclusion that the loan can be rejected or approved. So one thing for sure is you need a transparent log or the audit data in order to make the reasoning about why that particular loan was approved or rejected. Silent drift, I've already talked about silent drift. That can be you did a model update. You also can be possible that you did some API update. You were running V1 for some tool calls. Now you are on V2, and your model now based on V2 information generate some other reasoning, and that causes certain kind of a drift. So we will also talk about how do we mitigate all these risks in the later episode. But for now, just understand that there are certain risks, and these six risks are only some tip of the iceberg. There are numerous other risks, right? So another risk is the privacy exposure. So if you are in the banking industry, you know there are different regulation related to certain thing like PCI and all those things. So there is always fear of the customer data, PII, extract, etc., being leaked into logs, and your logs are now flowing through different nodes. There is always a risk that you are leaking some sensitive information. The last one is cascading failure. It may be possible that one tool call fails and your agent is continuously making tool calls without having any retry policies or the jitters, and it may slowly create a thundering herd kind of a situation, right? Classical distributed system problem. So these are some kind of a risk, though these are not limited to just AI system, because autonomous agents, when an organization would run in the future, it may not be just one agent talking to a couple of tool calls, but we may end up in the situation where, as many guys are predicting, running millions of AI agents which are communicating with one another and also communicating with different tool calls. So it's a classical distributed system issues that may again arise there. So there are some ideas which can help us to minimize the risk: accountability, transparency, the fairness. Again, this is more about this bias in the data. Transparency, we already talked about. It just we are explaining that the reasons should be transparent enough for the AI agent or anybody who is outside, or the independent third party should be able to read that decision and should be able to answer that why the particular loan was approved or rejected. So privacy, we already talked about the privacy. Safety, again, there are different kind of attacks. I will also talk about those later on, which we can do something like prompt injection and all those different strategies to break the AI systems alignment. So if you are coming from uh, the background where you are training a particular ML model, so you understand what exactly alignment is. But if you're not, alignment is nothing but you are modeling um you're modeling your AI system in such a way that it mimics certain behaviors. It may be, say, a customer representative way of defining or way of expressing how or why your loan was rejected. So all those alignment values, those values, for instance, are also dependent on the domain. Maybe you have trained your model so that it has certain behaviors which are more suited to financial industry. So whether if those alignment or the values are uh, incorporated inside the AI model, I guess we should be able to mitigate some of the risk. If And the third thing is adaptability. Uh, so uh, so it's not just about the model as such. It's also about the complete harness around your AI system. That can be modeling, that can be tooling, but there are also certain codified prompts that you may also be including in your AI system. So those should also be in place. That can also include some guardrails. That may also include, say, some skills. That may also include some prompts. So what happens if something goes wrong? Are you able to tune your all these levers so that um, your AI or autonomous agents are in control or not? Okay, so governance is not a one-time activity, or it's not limited to just one stage. It can be it should be in place at each and every step of your of your AI system, that starts from design in the sense, what is this agent for, what it should do, what kind of data you are using to train that model. Then inside the build, during the build time, different kind of data that you're using to train it, what kind of environment was it on train. Then even during the model training, you have different stages of training. So each of those sub stages are also can be included in the governance framework. And once your model is actually deployed, it is now ready to accept the inference request. So have all the guardrails are in place. It can be, maybe if you are using LLM, whether KV cache is there, whether you have sufficient GPUs or CPU in place to accept different requests, and when it's live, what kind of monitoring you are having, and are there automated alerts in case something is wrong, or in case we want to incorporate any human in the decision process. And this, again, this model deployment is continuous activity, because you are uh, also acquiring new data. You are also learning new tricks to optimize your model. So your model is also kind of a dynamic. And once it retires, what happens to all the data that you had collected, and what happens to the data that you collected from the customer, right? So all these steps are also included in the governance model. So somebody else also mentioned, right, the development never ends. Similarly, the governance is same. It also is like never done. So, as we mentioned here in the definition of AI governance, that people are essential piece of the AI governance model. So, we also should be looking at the responsibility at uh, at the organization level, right from a developer who is building the agent till the board, whether the board itself is convinced that our organization needs an autonomous AI or not, right? Then you have these different roles and what they are responsible for, right from ML developer to compliance. You have risk officer, you have the board, and you have the committee, which includes everyone and takes inputs, and also is also update also somebody who is continuously updated about different rules, regulation, uh, different. So this is a slightly evolving field, right? So every day you have new model, new ways of doing things. So are you updated around that or not? So this is a loop. This is not a one-time check, as I already mentioned, right? And even these are different stages. Within the stages also you need to identify different kind of a risk, as I started my talk with Claude Mythos, right? So there may be now new kind of models that are strictly trained for cyber warfare, and those are open source so that anybody can improve upon those one. um, and then there is access. You access the risk, how bad the risk is, and what can be done to mitigate those risks. Maybe you are not that updated to fight those risks. So maybe what you can maybe like outsource this particular governance area or not. Right, so I'm also, I guess, repeating this one. Mitigate, we will talk about this, how can testing, guardrails, human checkpoint. So we have different gates applied at different stages in order to mitigate the risk. Monitoring we already talked about. The monitoring is not just around the agents, but also around the tool calls, also around the infrastructure on which those autonomous agents are running. And then once that agent is producing certain output, you're also using that feedback. It may be that the agent goes down for some reason and you do not want that to happen in the next run, so you also incorporate uh, that feedback not just from the end customer but for also from the infrastructure on which the AI agent is running. So it's quite clear that AI governance is not just one-time check, or it's not a certain one thing that you are going to do after you have like end product deployed. It's continuous and it runs at different stages. And as I already mentioned that right now the field is rapidly advancing, so you need to also be uh, keep yourself updated with different stuff that are taking place in this domain. Final one, as I already discussed, right? So it is not just the internal policies. You also need to keep abreast about the policies within your country or a region, and if you are doing some cross-border trades, then some other kind of policies, rules kick in, right? So for our loan agents specifically, so some of these are manual and some of these can be employed or can be automated in your CI/CD stuff. So run a formal impact assessment before launch, document the training data and its lineage, build in a human override mechanism by design, keep audit logs that a regulator can actually read, tell applicants where an AI made the decisions, be ready to explain any individual outcome. Yeah, so as you can understand that AI governance now is very important because almost any tech companies, either you have a AI system or not, you definitely have some kind of a shadow AI system. For instance, somebody in your organization is using Claude AI, which he bought on his own credit card, right? So all those scenario, it is very important that you understand complete risk posturing of your organization, and you have a certain checklist, right? And that is dynamic, which you keep updating based on the new stuff that is happening in the in the wild. Okay, so this is it for episode 1. I guess you liked it, and if you have any question, please feel free to drop the comment. See you for episode 2.